everybody, and welcome to episode 75 of the I Rock Knits podcast. My name is Cori Eichelberger, and I go by I Rock Knits on the internets because I knit in a rocker recliner. I am back home from a weekend away up north fishing again with my husband, but this time my daughter and her boyfriend joined us, and we caught a ton of fish. They caught a ton of fish. I caught a little bit of knitting, mostly knitting, and sleeping in kind of bad beds, so I had a neck issue. You know, when you go away and it's not your own bed. They're not bad beds, they're just super firm beds. And so we were walking around here last night like we were two old people. Yeah, we are kind of getting to be old crotchety people who are both like, oh, I really hurt. And I had such a headache. And I got home and I missed a deadline for a proposal to Pom Pom magazine. I was so mad at myself. I had till midnight Sunday night, and I had done the proposal before we left. All I had to do was add a picture of the swatch. So I knit the swatch on our way, and then last night we got home and we unpacked, and Ross is like, let's just run uptown and grab a bite to eat. So we did, and he said, what do you have to do? And I said, I've got to get this proposal up by midnight tonight. And I don't know why it came into my head that I should double check it. So I got on my phone and looked, and it said, yep, midnight, June 6th. And I was like, okay. And then I clicked through to the actual call, and it was BST, British Standard Time. And that's 6 p.m. my time. And it was like 7 o'clock. I know that they're located in London and in Texas, and in my brain, it was going to be central. And we got home about 4 o'clock, so I would have had time, but we were unpacking, and I thought I had plenty of time to just upload it. So I was really bummed, because I had a really good idea. And the front page of the email did not have BST. It just said midnight. My own fault. I taught at-risk kids for long enough to tell them to be prepared, and it's no one else's fault if you miss a deadline, so I have to take that all on my own. I did a proposal a week ago for Miss Babs, and so maybe I'll get picked for that one. I can always propose this project again to someone, but it fit their theme. It was pastel brights, so really pretty colors, and I had a great idea, and I spent time working on it last Thursday. And then I thought, no, I'm going to just wait, and I'll take one last look at it when we get home. Yeah, so kind of a bummer on that front. We're going to talk about what I'm wearing and things I have to tell you, so we'll wait until that section. I've got a shorter podcast today because I'm going to leave out a couple of little things. Well, it's never shorter. I always say it's going to be shorter. It's never shorter. So, audiobooks. What did I read? I only finished one book. You know what? When you get a book that you don't love, that you don't want to continually listen to, it takes a lot longer to listen to it. So I listened to Homefront by Kristin Hannah, and the entire time I listened to it, I was like, I think I've read this before. But then I wasn't sure. It's an older book, and it's about a woman who grows up with a dysfunctional parent situation and marries a guy, goes into the military, becomes a helicopter pilot, goes to war. And it's just kind of a bummer situation, right? Like the whole time you're reading it, you're thinking, my life is good, right? Like I have a good life. My things that are happening in my life are so much better than what's happening to her and her life, and then her marriage and her kids. You know, there's a hopeful, redeeming ending, but it was just kind of I just didn't want to listen. And I think part of it was because I had this deja vu sense. And I don't like to listen to books twice. But, you know, I was busy and I didn't have time to kind of download another one, and I didn't have another one come up in my Libby app. And I started a new one this morning or yesterday, and then was really listening this morning as I was running around the house here. And it's A Room with a View by Forster, and it's kind of a classic, and I thought, oh, that'd be fun because it's just 7 hours. I'm not loving it. So I think it's the mood, right? Like I need to find a book that, hey, bud. Yeah, Cody went away for the weekend too, and he slept in not his own bed, and so his hind end is very sore. He's atrophying a lot. He's got hip dysplasia, so he doesn't use his back legs as well. And even though we walk him quite a bit, it's just sad to see him. Yeah, it's sad to see you get older. You want to lay down by mom? Yeah, you lay down. That's all I've got for audiobooks this week, and we'll move right along. I have a good recipe. I am not a fan of cheeseburger flavored things. Like that would not be something that I would normally gravitate toward, right? Like the box of Hamburger Helper. This is called cheeseburger stuffed shells. Someone made it on Instagram. I watched them make it. They talked about the flavors and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it. I think Ross would really like it, right? It was one of those things. It was delicious. So highly recommend. All right, this was made with the jumbo shells, which you have to, cook and stuff them. So that part's a little slow. I think you could make the meat mixture almost as well and put it with some different noodles and it would be fine as more of a hot dish, as we say in Minnesota, or a goulash. Would have been easier than making the jumbo shells. But I bought 4 boxes of gluten-free jumbo shells because they came in a big package. So we're going to be having this again with jumbo shells. Lean ground beef, onion chopped, tomato sauce, chopped dill pickle, ketchup, mustard, cheddar cheese, and then it has, you serve it on romaine lettuce and fresh tomatoes. Preheat your oven to 375, cook all your stuff up, stuff the shells, put it in the oven, bake it, and then just serve the lettuce on top or underneath. The flavor was just really good. It had strong, bold kind of mustard and pickle and tomato. I think kids would love it. I mean, I think a kid getting served a jumbo shell is always fun, but it was just delicious. Super simple. So I will post it in the Ravelry group. I usually put the link underneath, or you can copy and paste from underneath in the drop bar below us. So there's your recipe of the week. I have a new design debuting today, so I'm really excited to share with you a new project that I did in collaboration with a local yarn dyer and yarn store here in Minnesota. Muse 2320 is the name of the little yarn store in Hastings, Minnesota. So if you're from Minnesota and you have never been to Hastings, it is a lovely little river town, the quaint little downtown, and Sarah has a little yarn shop in Hastings, and she also dyes yarn. And on Instagram a few weeks ago, I saw that she was doing a rainbow colorway and donating $5 of each skein of yarn that she sold to the Trevor Project. And so I DM'd her and said, hey, can I get in on this? Can I be a part of this? I would love to design something for this. And she got back to me and she said, I would love an easy to knit, general, gender neutral hat. And I said, okay, let me see what I can do. So she sent me a skein of yarn, and the yarn is glorious. It's so fun. So this is the hat. Oh, we got all kinds of color going on today. I hope that you can all see this okay. The hat, there's the yarn. I'll show it really close. Almost all of your stitches are different color, which is super fun. You can see there's a little band around the hat there, and it does look almost a perfect rainbow in the 6-stitch little I-cord band. That is optional. The pom-pom is also optional as well. And here is the description from the pattern page. The Trevor Project is the leading national organization providing crisis intervention and suicide prevention services to lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning youth. Together we can make sure that LGBTQ youth who need support nationwide know they are not alone. That is something we can all get behind, and I hope you will join me. I taught enough at-risk students over the years to see that suicide is often seen as an option for those kids. And if there's anything that I can do to help make their lives manageable, livable, longer, I just wanted to go all in. So the hat pattern is going to be available on Ravelry for $10. All the proceeds of that money, minus my Ravelry and PayPal fees, which is usually about 41 cents or 43 cents, something like that, will go to the Trevor Project. Now, if you don't want to spend $10 on the hat, there are 2 coupon codes available to you, and I sent those out in the newsletter. The first coupon code is the code RAINBOW, and that will get you $2 off the hat pattern, so you don't have to spend quite as much. The second coupon code is PRIDE. They're both capitalized, Rainbow or Pride. And Pride will get you $5 off. So you'll get your kind of typical traditional $5 hat pattern on Ravelry. But I would love it if I could make a huge donation. So if you can financially do the $10 price, that would be awesome. But if you can't, then feel free to use either one of the coupon codes, Pride or Rainbow, to get $5 and $2 off. I'm really excited about the flexibility of this hat pattern because it's a don't mess up your hair hat. So Sarah wanted it to be easy to knit, and so I'm going to take the band off and I'm going to take the pom-pom off. So there's the top, the crown decreases of the hat, and there's no ribbing at the bottom of the hat, but the whole hat is ribbed. So it's super simple. I'm not going to say the pattern, stitch pattern out loud, but as you can see, it makes like this small tiny beanie that stretches. So if you're trying to decide what size to make, we have the instructions for how it finishes unstretched and then how far it can stretch. In the upper sizes, we're stretching far further. So in the first 3 sizes, you knit it on a size 9 needle to get the gauge and have a lot of stretch. But on the upper 2 sizes, you knit it on a size 8 needle to get a little less stretch and to have it be a little more huggable. And I've never written a pattern in that manner before, but it seemed to work really well. I had a number of testers knit the pattern in both a size 9 and a size 8. You can decide the length that you want the hat to be as you're knitting. I give you a good indication to try it on at this point and how long the crown decreases are so that you can just make it. But because it sits nice and loosely on the head, it's one of those hats that you can throw on when it's chilly in the fall, but you can go somewhere and take your hat off and not have your hair be sticking to the top of your head. Now, do you have an option to put a 2x2 ribbing on the bottom of this? You certainly could. But I really like that it's just a super nice beanie that will, yeah, there, fit the head pretty easily. This glass head is so heavy, I'm always afraid I'm going to drop it. The band is just an I-cord band that is stitched together at the end to provide a bit of tightness around the crown to hold it on a little bit better, as well as for decoration. You could also make the band in a contrast color, which would be super fun. You could do it in just one of the contrast colors. And then the pom-pom. When you design a hat pattern and you want it to just be simple and kind of gender neutral, you kind of want to come up with something so that people will spend the money, right? Like, why would you buy another hat pattern that's just something that you could figure out on your own? So I knit up part of this hat band. I hope you can see how squiggly that is. It's super squiggly. I knit up this hat band and got started on this ribbed pattern, and I decided that it didn't need the bottom band. So I set that aside, cut it off, and started again without the bottom band. So I had this piece of knitting, like 2 inches of knitting, when I was all done, left over, and I thought, oh, I'm going to make a pom-pom. And when I unraveled the knitting, it was squiggly. And it made the cutest. This is so cute in person. You can just see how squiggly it is. So I put the instructions in the pattern that if you want to knit on a smaller needle, 2 inches of ribbing, and then spray it, wet it just a little bit, and leave it overnight, let it dry, or for a few days while you knit the rest of the hat. Then when you rip that out, you get that squiggly yarn, and the pom-pom was just kind of a fun bonus. Super yeah, it's kind of a crazy pom-pom, and it's kind of a crazy colorway. So I just thought it was a cute concept, kind of a cute idea. And it would be really fun, I think, for little kids. I mean, I think kids would really like this. So the pattern is written for 5 sizes, and it goes from an 8-inch unstretched circumference to a 19.5 in just that little kind of cone shape. And then it can stretch from 11.5 to 23 inches. So you have 5 different options to choose from as far as the circumference of the head goes. And as I said, super stretchable, very quick and easy to knit. Most people knit it in an evening because, especially on this kind of heavy worsted Aran weight yarn, it's 181 yards to 100 grams. So it's not a worsted weight, which is typically like in that 220 range. You need something a little heavier. If you're going to use worsted then of your own, you're going to have to go down in your sizing and just kind of do the calculations on your own. Sarah has pre-orders available on her website for this colorway. You can go over to Sarah's website, Muse, M-U-S-E 2320, where she has this yarn available in fingering weight, in fingering with sparkle, in the Raven color put up, which is the Aran weight, but any Aran weight yarn will do. And it takes 1 skein to complete most of the projects. I'm not sure you could get the band and a big pom-pom in the largest skein, but pretty close. And not everyone's into pom-poms. You could certainly leave the pom-pom off. I also decided at the last minute to kind of throw a cowl pattern in. So coordinating cowl is available as a part of this pattern, kind of for your $10 value. It's the same stitch pattern you cast on, and it's kind of a ribbed cowl that would just go all the way around, use up all your yarn, and bind off. So I just gave you kind of a cast on number and a recipe for how to make a coordinating or matching cowl out of that same ribbed stitch pattern that I have in the hat. So, and it's not just traditional. See, there's kind of a decorative stitch right in here. Yeah, just a little bit different. Okay, so the pattern will be available. The coupon codes are on Ravelry. The coupon codes can be used on my website. I will mark the pattern down on Etsy for a few days because Etsy doesn't do coupon codes, and then eventually the pattern will also be up on Love Crafts. Kimberly puts those up over there for me, and they have to approve them, so it always takes a few extra days to get it kind of loaded onto Love Crafts. But there are 4 places that you can buy the pattern, 2 places that you can use both coupon codes. So I just thank you all for your support of my knitting designs over the last few years, and thank you so much if you are interested and willing to purchase this pattern so that I can make a donation and help those kids who are thinking about suicide. If you go to the Trevor Project website, you can see that they have resources for teachers, people working in the industry with youth. They have a hotline that kids can call into. So I just really feel like it's an excellent place to give some money. I don't have specific tips or tricks this week, but are you following me on Instagram? Come over and follow me because I have moved my knitting tips page over to iRockKnits. I just decided that managing 3 accounts, the Knitting Exchange, the Knitting Tips, and iRockKnits was just too much. I've been trying to kind of coordinate my efforts for social media, and so I'm putting up my knitting tips Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I've got hundreds to put up on there. I'm also going to start posting them on TikTok because some of them are step-by-steps, and there's an app that I can use to do a step-by-step knitting kind of tutorial about some of the tips and tricks. So I think I'll try to start using that. I watched some videos this weekend on how to do that. I just have to find the time to plug that in. Right now, I'm currently working 10-hour days, 7 days a week with this design business. I am trying to bang out the projects, sign up for more stuff, get my ideas out there, and I'm not complaining. I love going into the office and sitting down every day and doing the work, but I am just really, really booked. If you watched my Zoom from last weekend where I posted it, so if you're not signed up for notifications on YouTube for my channel, subscribe and hit the notifications, you would not probably have gotten the notification that I put up a video in between the last podcast and this podcast, which was the recording of the live Zoom event I did last Sunday for the Splash Pad party. So that is sponsored by Boston Jen over in the Down Cellar Studio podcast group. And that's a summer knit along that anyone can participate in. And you don't have to sign up to do, big projects and all that kind of stuff. But she's got great vendors, great people with coupon codes, yarn dyers, designers, people who are sponsors of the knit along. So you might want to go over and take a look at the threads over there and sign up, because it's a really fun summer event where you just knit along and you get more points if you pick projects that other people have. If you're using bags, stitch markers, yarn, a designer's pattern, and you've got yarn that you want to use and you don't know what to knit with it, you can use those patterns and get more points. So I would highly recommend it. But I did a live Zoom at the lake last Sunday, and I shared all my sneak peeks of my upcoming designs. And I usually don't do that. I usually don't share what I have kind of coming in. And I got just really good response from people. They're super excited about some of the stuff that I have coming out in the next 3 to 4 months. And so yeah, if you want to take a look at that, that would be in your YouTube feed. It's just that you might not have gotten a notification about it. And it does have a big orange banner on it that says live Zoom. And it was an hour of me talking about upcoming designs. So if you want a sneak peek at those, you could go and take a look at that as well. Okay, I did go to the basement and I looked for my hat, mitten, and scarf set from when I was first learning to knit, and I learned how to make cables. And I thought that this was a really long scarf, and look at that. That's how short it is. It's kind of a shrimpo. It's not very long. And I kind of was looking at it to see what my stitches look like, and they look pretty good. Not too bad. Got some nice cables there with some seed stitch, which I think as a newer knitter, seed stitch can be kind of challenging because you have to be able to read your knitting. I do not know what this pattern is. It's just probably knit, purl, knit, 2 over 2 cable, knit, purl, knit, knit 2 up the middle, knit, purl, knit, 2 over 2 cable, and it's got 2 kind of edge stitches here. Looks like it's maybe a slip stitch along the edge, or purl stitch. Oh yeah, okay. Purl stitch, knit 2, and then the seed stitch. So you could probably figure out how to write this. But I was putting away the first sweaters from last week, and I'm like, okay, let's dig in the boxes and see if you can find. I did not find the hat and mittens. And so I must have worn those or given those as a gift to someone. It would have been the same stitch pattern in this gray tweed. I thought it was really funny that I was knitting things back in the day in these like neutral colors because it's never been my palette. But so many of you shared your first projects with me. Oh, that was fun to read the stories and the memories that so many of you have of your first projects. Some of you posted pictures in the Ravelry group under the thread for the giveaway. That was really fun to see some of the pictures of your first projects. And so many of you told me stories of your, actual memories of what you first knit. And I think that that's so special that you even just have the memory, even if you don't have a picture of it. So the prize winner for the giveaway this week is Timber 2 from Camp Hill, Pennsylvania. That's Timberly Ann. She was number 18. I did the random number generator and counted down 18. So Timber, get in touch with me. I have packaged up your prize, which is the mini skeins of yarn and the water bottle and the little ornament and the little book. I put it all in a prize package together. So as soon as I get your home address, you can send it to me via Instagram or Ravelry or Cori@IROCKNITTERS.com. Those will all come to me, and I will get that out in the mail to you. So that was super fun, kind of walk down memory lane for a lot of you to remember your first projects. Oh, I have a great shawl of the week for you this week. This is the Summer Moon Shawl by Jill Zielinski, and it came out in June of 2015. And it's chevrons again. You guys know I'm never going to get get away from all the chevrons. It's a $6 pattern on Ravelry. It is a bottom-up crescent-shaped wrap with gradual decreasing waves of color, knit in fingering weight yarn. There's a 6-color version, and it has options for a 3-color version or a version knit in sport weight. Whatever direction you choose, once you knit your summer moon, you'll find this wrap is the perfect way to get cozy on those cool summer nights. The interesting thing about this shawl is that it's a crescent, but it has flat ends. So they're very flat. They don't come to a point. And if you don't knit it long enough, it won't wrap around you a number of times. I will put a picture in of the unique closure that I found of this little bustier. It's a silver piece of jewelry that unlatches in the middle. It's a little heavy for fingering weight shawl, but it just makes me smile every time I wear it. I got these colors from Dancing Dog Dye Works back in the day when she was dyeing yarn. That was Michelle out of California, and she was at ZK a couple of years, the knitting retreat in Rochester. And so I just paired it with that kind of dark charcoal gray in a few spots to use fingering weight. It calls for a size 6 needle and 1,025 yards roughly. It was made originally in Plucky Knitter Snug Fingering, and there are 282 projects, so there are lots of options out there for you to go look at colorways. But if you've got mini skeins or leftover fingering weight, this was a fun knit. It's an interesting construction and really fun to wear. Find yourself a kitschy closure. Should be my new motto. Have a kitschy closure and make yourself a fun summer moon shawl. The sweater of the week this week is called Ink and Brass, and it is by Dani Sunshine, and it came out in February of 2019. And I had this fingering weight yarn from another crafty girl, Sarah, and I decided that I needed to use these two colorways together, the brown with the pink and the orange, and then the hot pink. And so I like a bright stripe, and I thought that it would be kind of a fun option. It is just a top-down raglan, almost like a sweatshirt. So if you didn't do it in the stripes, you would just get a plain, it would be great with highly variegated yarn because it would just be a plain canvas. It is knit in fingering on a US size 5 knitting needle. It is 550 Great British pounds, which transfers into about $8 US. It is simple striped sweater knit in the round from the top down. German short rows are used to shape the neckline. Raglan increase shapes the yoke. The body is worked straight down for a casual look. The long sleeves and body are knit in stockinette stitch in the round, and both are finished with twisted ribbing. The sizes go from a 31-inch bust to a 52-inch bust, so it's fairly reasonably sized. And it says to choose a size with 2 to 4 inches of positive ease. The sample is shown in a size medium in the pattern. So just a super simple, easy top-down raglan, and I would highly recommend the pattern. So there's your sweater of the week this week. I have some special things to tell you. So let's start with what I'm wearing. I'm putting this in the special things to tell you because I get comments from people fairly often that say, I wish I could knit with more color. I wish I could wear more color. And we should probably address the elephant in the room, right? I did get my hair colored, and I did go back to having some kind of orange colored bangs. I didn't make the decision until like the day before. And I walked in and I said, Todd, we're going back to orange bangs. I had had these maybe 5 years ago. I have been feeling a little down in the surroundings lately, right? Like we've spent so much time in our houses, and I have some pops of color in my house, and I have been getting more and more pops of color. So if I think about it, I'll put my kitchen rug and my front door rug back in here so that you can see the little bits of pop of color. But the rest of my house is pretty, right? Like I have kind of tan and beige walls. I have kind of gold and maroon bedspread in my bedroom with curtains. It's all very pretty. The mudroom has orange rugs now, but I was kind of living by that whole thought process that you can't resell your house if you have a lot of color in it, so everything should be neutral, neutral, neutral. Well, we don't plan to resell this house, right? Like, we're gonna stay here for a while. And so I just decided that I needed a new bedspread, so I ordered a new bright bedspread. It hasn't come yet. I got the brighter rugs. I just needed some more color, so I ordered some new clothes, and I went with Gudrun Sjoden. And if you're not familiar with her line of colorful, this is a dress. It's called the Gudrunista dress, and it does come in a white, black, and hot pink, little hot pink leaves. So she does do some more neutrals that have little pops of color in them, and you don't have to go with, but as soon as I saw this, I was like, oh, raspberry and orange, hot pink, I have to get it. And then it has coordinating tights. So I have on hot pink with orange polka dot tights today. And I have to run into town later, and so I thought, okay, I'm just gonna put this on and I'm gonna tell people about her stuff. So her new line is strawberry, so if you're into strawberries, she's got strawberry t-shirts. It is not inexpensive. Of course, it's imported here. It comes from Sweden. So it is, it's not expensive, but I also am not a huge supporter of throwaway fashion and paying a pittance for the stuff that I buy. I would rather pay more and hope that somebody who's making it is getting a living wage. And so I will invest in pieces that I will keep over a long period of time. And I have ordered some stuff in lime green. I have the white dress with the black and the hot pink. I ordered a gold kind of yellow t-shirt with hot pink and green polka dots. But you can always pair it with, black pants or one of her solid color dresses, like she has them in black and dark green. It's a nice way to get motivated about color, just going to her website. I'm just so motivated to design more in color and quit being the person that tries to satisfy other people's color inspiration needs. Just not going to do that anymore. So I went with the bangs. My husband didn't say too much. My daughter probably rolled her eyes. I mean, I've had them before, so neither one of them were super surprised. But they might not look as bright as they are in life, right? Like, I have dark enough hair that I can comb them down a little bit. Also, another elephant in the room that I mentioned to someone last week who watches the podcast. I itch. I itch all over all the time. I am doing some medication changes, but I have been itching for the last 5 to 10 years, right? I itch, so I often am itching myself, and I try to edit it out. I'll itch my nose, I'll itch. The back of my head is the worst part. But some of you probably have noticed it, and none of you have ever commented, which is so kind of all of you to never have said, man, you just itch yourself all the time, or you touch your nose, or you're itching your ear, or you're touching your hair. And I do try to do a good job of editing it out, which does make the podcast choppier, but no one wants to sit here and watch me like itch myself. So this is my thank you to you nice people who have not pointed out the fact that I wouldn't know that I itch myself all the time. And I'm constantly itching. So I am doing some medication changes. It's been a little hard. I got not feeling so well, going off some of these medications and we're going to try some new stuff, see if I can get rid of several side effects that I have going on, one of which is the itch factor. I do take 2 allergy pills every day, and I still itch. And I have tried lotions and creams and gels and scalp itch stuff and shampoos. We've been down all those roads, so you don't need to chime in, but it's just, I'm just tired of it. I'm tired. My husband says, you itch all night, like you itch. And I do wake up with big gash marks on my legs because I'm itching. So it's a little scary to go off medications that you need for a high heart rate. But I went to my cardiologist, I went to my dermatologist, I went to my GP, and we all agreed that we could try try this. So I've had some headachy days, some nausea days, slowly weaning off stuff. You got to get off of it before you can go on to the new stuff. And of course, all the new stuff is going to have new and burgeoning side effects that you don't know about. So we'll see. But I just wanted to say thanks for not saying, Cori, you itch, and it really drives me crazy. Okay, so go check out Gudrun Sjoden. Sjoden, Sjoden. I'll have put it on the screen, hopefully, if you want to put some color in your life. So I thought I would put this on today to remind me to talk about it. The other day on Instagram, I ran across a story that just inspired me. It was just a picture, and it was on the All About Ami, which is the amigurumi crocheted website, that they posted this picture. Have you heard of a rock snake before? And this is a rock with the words on it that says, it says something like, I am a rock snake, let's see how big I can grow. And I'm putting this in my backyard, right? I have a walking path back behind my backyard, and on the other side of it, they mow just a little bit along the edge, and then they leave the ditches fairly long, and then there's a road. And so I went and got some big rocks. Did you know you can order rocks on Amazon? I wanted a big triangular shaped rock, and I was like, where am I going to go? Where's a gravel road? Where we have rock up around the front of our house, but I didn't know if we had anything big enough to be the head of the snake. And then I got some paint and I made a sign. This one has the actual little thing written on a stone, but I didn't know if I could take the time to like put that on there. So I made a little sign that says, I'm a rock snake, help me grow. And I'm going to put it out in our Nextdoor app. And I'm going to say, come find the rock snake to all the kids in the neighborhood this summer and see if we can make the rock snake grow. And I thought some of you might be interested. Is this a crazy thing for a 6-year-old lady who doesn't have kids at home anymore to do? Probably. Am I going to enjoy every minute of watching out my back window or on my deck? I have an acre of sod in my backyard, I've talked about before, so it is far enough away from the house that kids won't have to come up to my house, close to my house, to add a stone. But All About Ami crocheted a cover for a rock and added her rock to the end of this, and it was right along a walking path. And I thought, how fun this summer. We do have a lot of kids come by on their bikes, but our path does dead end about a block down, and they haven't extended it, so you do have to turn around and come back. But I see moms walking strollers and dads running behind running strollers and little kids biking. So I thought it would be really fun if they just came across it. And there was this little sign out there. And once it gets going, I think people will understand what it's all about. Make a rock snake. I don't really like snakes, but I think this is cute. So this week, once I get it out there, I'll take a picture for next time. Then I wanted to share that this weekend I watched the Crochet Summit, which was online programming. I think I've talked about it before. And you can purchase it, but it's free while it's up. So there are like 5 or 6 classes a day, and if you can watch them during the day while they're on, and they're only up for 24 hours, you can watch them all for free. And then you can choose to buy it if you want to keep them. And even though they were crochet, it was about running a business in crochet and selling crocheted items and all that kind of stuff. And that's where I watched the video about doing the TikTok. And then I watched a video about growing your audience and stuff like that. But because I think I signed up to get the link via Instagram, you send your email and then they send you the link each day for the day's classes. Like I said, it's all free. I got one for knitting, and it starts tomorrow, I think. So it's June 7th through the 11th, and it is Want to Improve Your Skills While Making Some Really Cool Projects. Free online event for people who love to knit or have always wanted to learn. 35 classes, and it's all free. Go to rebecca-page.com, and you can look up the information, and then you click, there's a clickable place to put in your email, and then they sent me the link. And I got the link this morning, and it showed the list of classes to start today. But for some reason, at the bottom of the thing, it said that classes will begin tomorrow. So it might be just that I came home from the lake and I was reading it wrong. But anyway, there are a bunch of classes on there for beginners, beginner knitters, learning new things. There are project classes. And it's all free for the 5 days that the thing is going on. And then if you want to buy them all and keep them, like if you go out and look at them and you're like, there are like 6 of these that I want to watch and I don't have time to watch them, I think you have to pay like $50 to get them all, and you have them forever, right? And the crocheted classes were like each a half an hour, and they were kind of pre-recorded and posted by some of the best people in the industry. These are longer. These are more like a craftsy class where there's an introduction and then a bunch of steps to learn different parts. But I thought I should share it for those of you that might be interested in watching just even one class for free. RebeccaPage.com. Let's do Corey's stories and the hellos, and we'll wrap it up this week. As you know, we've been at the lake for the last 2 weekends, which is too much, right? Because it's about a 4.5 hour, 5 hour drive up there, and you got to haul all your stuff. Ross does a pretty good job of packing the groceries up and taking the towels and the things that we need. But it gets to be a lot hauling everything up there and then cooking while you're there and then coming home. But we did catch a lot of fish. Ross caught a large walleye. Posted a picture on Instagram. It was about 24 inches, and this was Memorial Day weekend. And I always tell him, wear your life jacket, be careful out there, but you got to get a picture, right? Like you can't come in and say that you caught a giant fish if there's no picture. But it's really hard when you're by yourself in the boat. And he has a live well, so he can, but you got to throw them back because there's a slot limit in Minnesota that you can keep fish, and so you got to measure them. So he called and he said, because he does have access to his phone on the lake, which is awesome because he can call me, tell me where he's at and how he's doing, because it's a giant lake, big lake. Lake Winnebagosh. It's in kind of the upper middle of Minnesota. There are two giant blue bodies of water if you look at the map of Minnesota. Anyway, so he caught this big fish and he called me and he says, I'm headed in, and if you want to come down, take a picture. And I said, that'd be great. So I went down to the dock, took my phone, took a picture of him holding this giant fish. And then I sent it to my parents because they have not caught a 25-inch walleye in a while. We had just mentioned that the last time my dad caught one was like 6 or 7 years ago. My dad caught this giant walleye. It was such an exciting day and fun for him. I mean, they always catch lots of little walleyes, but you got to throw some back and whatever. So I sent it to Kylie that weekend, and Kylie texted back, and she said, Mom, that's just a great funeral picture. And it made me laugh out loud, and I happened to be in the lodge at the moment, so I was telling the owners of the lodge what Kylie had said, and they kind of looked at me, and I said, in our family, it's a thing that we have talked about, that Mom takes all the pictures but is never in any of the pictures, right? So there are lots of pictures of kids, lots of pictures of Dad with the kids on vacations, things like that. But I'm always the one that's like, let's take a picture, and I'm not always in it. So I have said in the past, somebody's got to take it because I need a few funeral pictures, right? Because when you go to a funeral, they put out all those pictures, and there are oftentimes not as many pictures of the mom. And so we just have this kind of running joke. It wasn't meant to be morbid or disrespectful in any way, but I explained it to it. And then the old guys, the old fishermen who were sitting up in the lodge having ice cream at night, because that's the big thing, is to go up and have a big dish of ice cream at night in the lodge. We're just laughing and hard about our funeral pictures. And they're like, well, we got to go out and get a good funeral picture tomorrow. So I just thought I would share the story and the picture of Ross in his happy place with all of you, because we should be taking pictures of these happy moments. I wish that I would have had a phone and a phone camera when Kylie was little, because I would love to have those memories, but we didn't have phones that long ago. Makes me feel old. But we didn't, I don't have videos of her on my phone. I don't have pictures of her on my phone. I've had to, go back to the scrapbooks and take the pictures out that we used to have printed. So anyway, there you go. Funeral pictures. Take some funeral pictures. So many of you shared with me your first knitting projects via the hellos. I'm going to just thank you all because I read them all and I commented on almost all of them, I think. A lot of you went and bought carpet bags, which I did not mean for you to all go in and buy them, but a couple of you purchased them and received them already and said that the quality is fantastic. I haven't even ordered one. I haven't even gone back to look at to see if he's got an orange one or if he'll do an orange one. But anyway, I'm so glad to hear that the quality is really good and that several of you went out and bought either a purse or a wallet or a crossbody, the smaller bags, but a couple of you also bought the carpet bags. And I had no, that was not an affiliate link or anything. I'm not making any money off that. I just thought that they were beautiful. They were just lovely, and what a nice treat to have a bag like that. So Kylie was shopping last week. She needed to get some work clothes because she had to find out from her judge whether or not they would be wearing dress clothes and a suit and jacket every day, or if she could wear more business casual. So I was talking to Amber one afternoon, and Kylie texted and she said, Mom, I need to show you a couple things. Help me decide on whether or not I should purchase this. So she did. And then she said, oh, by the way, I'm at Macy's. They have a knitting bag. And Amber said, oh, I love that she shared a knitting bag. Look at those knit stitches. This is by Betsy Johnson. It was at Macy's. It's a giant poofer. Can you hear that? It's slippery, fairly lightweight. It does have a long crossbody strap, black strap too, but these are plenty long for me to carry it. And she said it's on clearance for 40% off. Do you want one? And so then I showed Amber the picture and I'm like, and she said, does Amber want one too? And so Kylie bought 2 of these bags and brought them to the lake this weekend. I went out to look and I could not find them on the Macy's website, but I will give you the information because maybe if you have a local Macy's. So we ended up spending $36.99. They were originally $88. And it is EW nylon tote, pink multi. The number is LBAVERYY. That's what it says on it. I would link it for you, but it wasn't anywhere on any of the, it's called Love Betsy by Betsy Johnson, because I know some of you love pink like Amber loves pink. I did not need another project bag at all. I'm going to try to wear some out. That's my goal for the next year, but I haven't used a project bag in a while. Anyway, I thought I should share it. And because so many of you bought the carpet bags, I thought, okay, they're bag people. They're like me. And let's do the rest of the hellos. Kathy B, Emily Saopraseuth, Judith Muscroft, Nikki Loeffler, Momma Gott, Carol Childers, Beth Arner, Karen Mezzacapo, RockyMtnPenny, Mary Danielson, Victoria Pileski, Chris S., Margarita Deverson, Donna Walters, Pat Howes, Janet Robertson, Luana Hendricks, Georgia, Brandy Stoker, Kara Parkman, Stephanie Haberman, Frivolous and Frugal Dawn, Suzanne Selby, Ing Marie Lindberg, George Ann Braden, World Peas Marie, Barbara Birch, who remembered the Daytons in downtown Minneapolis, which is now Macy's. So that's a nice little segue there. She bought yarn, which used to be available in Dayton's in downtown Minneapolis. So Barbara, I assume that you have been local to Minneapolis for many years, but Dayton's was just the epitome of shopping. It was just a lovely department store for so many years, and I miss it so much. And it has gone under several iterations. It became several different, department stores, and now it kind of has landed on Macy's, which is not nearly as nice. It isn't as kind of back in the day. I remember Dayton's as being a little more high end, not out of reach expense-wise, but just, oh, it was such a nice store. So thanks for that memory, Barbara. Hello to Kathy Goodman, Terry Monk, Wendy Morris, Lori Friedman, Handmade Designs, Bonnie Vandemark, Connie, Danielle Brown, Candy Harris, Teresa Olson, Dorothy Freeman, Angela Jenkins, Cheryl-lacemaker, Holly Isaac, Debbie McKenzie, Courtney Stitches Please, Dana Harper, Show and Tell Knitting, Carol Morrison, Heather Wilson, Jane Taylor, Susie Fab, Teresa Olson, Melinda Zaccardi Rousseau, Regina Seeger, Janet Holler, Emma Butcher, Maggie Two Sticks, Jess Make a Knit, Lou Bond, Jessie's Mom 12, WT 3001, Patty Skaggs, Deb Vandermolen, Kelly Naley, Shirley Clute, Karen H., Crochet Creations by Christy, Ann Adluski, Kathy Evans, Peggy Bork, Pam Bailey, Valerie Fisher, Trudy Schwartz-Burrill. Thank you all for watching and commenting last week. I know it takes time to come over and make a comment, and I love that you do. It helps me right away. The first few people that watch, I always double check to make sure that something didn't go wrong in the podcast, that someone doesn't say, Corey, your words are garbled, or Corey, you left the music over the whole podcast. Remember when I did that? Or something like that. So you first few people who watch it in the midnight hours of Monday evening going into early Tuesday morning, I really appreciate that you comment, give me a thumbs up, or at least say, hey, great podcast this week. Then I go, oh, shoo, no, I didn't do anything wrong in the editing part of it. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up. I have an appointment, and then I have to come home and edit and get the newsletter sent out and the pattern sent out. I'm very excited about the Trevor Project Hat. I did reach out to the Trevor Project people to ask them for permission to use the name, and they never got back to me, so I'm just going to go with it. I am donating all the proceeds, and I think it's easier to remember, and there were lots of Trevor things out there on Ravelry, and so I couldn't go with that. So Trevor Project Hat, please go buy one, knit it up, let me know what you think, wear some rainbows this month, support those kids who are struggling, trying to find who they are, where they are, their identities, living in a world that might hate them. That's tough stuff when you're a kid. Until next time, no green bananas, waddle on, buy the gravy. Keep your fork, keep it colorful. Bye. Love you all. Big hug as you go. Take care of yourself.